Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. It is Monday, the 24th of February, and we're going to talk some Magic the Gathering with you all today. Cool. We have a cat. We have a cup of tea. Let's talk about some new cards. So at the weekend, we had MagicCon Chicago featuring Dungeons and Dragons. This was the logo I could find this morning. But it looks like, we got some cool cards from the next set, Tarkir Dragonstorm. Now this is one I'm super hyped for. I love this set. This was one of the first sets me and my wife were playing when we got back into Magic. For a bunch of our friends, this was their first set as well. This is great. I am so here for this. Tarkir. The original set was so much fun. The 3-color set with morphs, with fixing, with fetch lands coming back importantly. That was a big thing. I don't think we're going to see them again this time, but just the Khan mechanic, or the Khan aspect, a lot of people really loved. And it looks like with Tarkir Dragonstorm, we're getting the best of both, because in the timeline for original Tarkir, you had kind of the first set was in the Khan's timeline, where you had all the 3-color sets. Then in Fate Reforged, I think it is, Sarkhan goes back to kill off all the Khans so that all the dragons can live. And then in Dragons of Tarkir, it's kind of like a different timeline of the set, where you lost the 3-color aspect, but you got some cool, beefy dragons, like the Dragon Lords, which I also love. I love dragons. I love 3-color commanders. That's all great. It sounds like in this version of Tarkir, we're getting the best of both. We're getting the Khans, the 3-color Khans, and we're getting Dragon Lords. I don't think we're getting the original Dragon Lords from the spoilers that we've seen, but we are getting new, shiny 3-color dragons, which I like that. That sounds cool. All right, let's jump in. Let's actually talk about some of the cards that were spoiled. So, first up, we got a new Mox. Hooray! It's not very good. Boo. First up, the first card we're going to talk about is Mox Jasper. It is a 0 for a legendary artifact. Add 1 mana of any one color, and activate only if you control a dragon. So, this is really niche, if I'm honest with you. Like, if there are a bunch of cheap dragons in the set, then this is really good. Because in general, there just really aren't many cheap dragons. Most dragons that you think of are like 5 or 6 mana. Those are the reasons that you play dragons. There are a couple of cheaper ones. Or if there's cheap ways of making dragons, then this becomes better. Because the reason... I shouldn't need to explain this, but the reason why most Moxes are good is because on turn 1, it lets you play a land and a Mox, and then you can play a 2-drop on turn 1, and you're ahead on mana from that point in the game. With this, in most Dragon decks, this is not going to really ramp you until turn 5. Like, the fact you already need to have one of your big dragons out really means that this is going to... My gut is this is going to be a meme. This isn't going to be a good Magic card. Like Mox Amber finally found a place. That's the one where you need a legend, and that's way easier to activate than this. Like, that has some niche play, I think, in like Pioneer or Modern or something like that, and sees a little bit of play in Commander. I think it saw more play after the Mana Crypt ban, if I'm honest with you, because people were desperate for cheap rocks. If this set has a bunch of like, if there's like a Llanowar Elves that also happens to be a dragon, like that's the only way where this becomes playable, is if we just see an influx of cheap creatures that you would normally run, like effects you would normally run, like a Llanowar Elves, like a Mana Rock, something like that, that just happen to have the word dragon tacked onto the creature type. If there's a bunch more of those printed, then I like this more. It exists, that's what I can say. I'm not super hyped about this one. This isn't the type of dragon card that I'm after. But a cool card we did get is the return of Narset. Narset, Jeskai Waymaster. It is a blue, a red, and a white for a 3/4 legendary creature human monk. It has the beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. So this is a cool way of doing like a spell slinger deck. A lot of those decks tend to just be built around kind of like cast a bunch of cantrips, trigger things like Tower and make a bunch of tokens. This is a cooler way because it is just really rewarding you for casting spells. Like again, this does want to be in a deck with a bunch of things like Opt. Or like Opt, Lightning Bolt, and Path to Exile is what you're doing in this deck. You want as many cheap stuff as possible so that at the end step you just spin off your hand and draw back up so that you can just do it again next turn. Like this is going to be like instant speed deck in Commander. I mean, it's very cool. It is also a 3-mana 3/4, which I don't hate. Maybe that will mean it could see standard play. We haven't really seen what the mana is going to be like from this set at the moment. So, kind of commenting how a 3-color card is going to be in Commander. In Standard is going to be tricky because, like, in original Standard you had things. Also, when cards first came around, you had Fetch Shock. I want to say mana base, or if not Fetch, like slow duel mana base. Oh, this cat's got really heavy. She's definitely had her breakfast. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, darling. You're beautiful. But in the original Khan's block, when that was in Standard, like because you had Fetch Duel, you could support 3-color decks in Standard. We're not going to get fetches. The mana base isn't bad, but I don't think it's 3-colorable, so maybe it will probably struggle in Standard. But yeah, it seems a cool one for Commander. It's a 3-color legend. That's what these are built for. All right. This one, now here we go. This one has Sarkhan Dragon Ascendant. He's back and he's bad. He is a 1 and a black 3, 2/2 legendary creature, human druid. And it has a new mechanic which I kind of like actually. When Sarkhan enters, you may behold a dragon. If you do, create a treasure token. So behold is a new keyword. I think there was we've seen the I'll read it first. To behold a dragon, choose a dragon you control or reveal a dragon card in your hand. So we've seen something similar to this where like you can reveal a card from your hand, and if you do, the creature gets a bonus effect. But the problem with that is it is incentivizing you not to play magic. Behold seems cool because it's incentivizing you to play magic. So if you draw this after your dragon, you're not incentivized to just go off curve and play badly. Like you're incentivized to just play magic basically, and you still get the bonus upside of this. So I like that. It then has the ability whenever a dragon you control enters, put a plus 1 counter on Sarkhan until end. Put a plus 1 counter on Sarkhan until end of turn. Sarkhan becomes a dragon in addition to its other types and gains flying. So this is cool. Yeah, it's a nice little effect. Again, it will depend how many cheap dragons that we have, because playing this on 2 and it making a treasure, that's nice because the treasure will help you ramp to your dragons. But kind of the issue is like if the next dragon you're going to cast isn't till 4, Sarkhan's going to sit around being vanilla 2/2 without an ability. Oh yes, hello. 2/2 without an ability until like turn. Say because of your treasure, you can play your Shivan Dragon on turn 5. On turn 5, you have a 3/3. That's just going to get blocked by whatever they're doing. I mean, it will have flying, I guess, which I don't hate. Again, if we see like 3-mana dragons in this set, which we could, like they have seen, like they have like besides reducing the cost of angels to make them more playable in formats. So if they do a similar thing with dragons, then this card gets better. But I'll keep my eye on this one. This one it looks cool. Well, I think Behold is a cool mechanic, and I'm glad it definitely fixes that kind of reveal play badly thing that they've done in the past. But yeah, Sarkhan's cool. Good to see him back. Alright, talking of dragons, finally we have one. Next up we have Shiko, Paragon of the Way. It is 2 blue, red, and a white for a 4/5 legendary creature spirit dragon with flying, vigilance, and when it enters, exile target non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. Copy it. You may then cast the copy without paying its mana cost. You're going? Right, goodbye darling. I'll come back soon. So this one's cool. Yeah, I love me a 3-color dragon. So the fact that this is an enter it means that in Commander, I'm guessing it's probably going to be like a flicker kind of thing. There's probably some cool stuff with this and ephemerate that you can do, which I kind of like the sound of. But the fact this can get permanence as well is also quite fun. Just as a base level, like, yeah, but I think my gut is in Commander especially, this is going to be like a flicker style of thing. In older format, or like I'm thinking in Cube, like this, there's a world where this is quite good in Powered Cube because this does just copy your Ancestral, or Time Walk. So that's pretty snazzy. The fact it's not attacks as well. Am I being greedy with that? Like, there is a world where, like, come on, Sun Titan, let us do some cool stuff. And Sun Titan's really old now. Maybe that'd be too good. But, no, this is a cool one. Yeah, 3-color dragon, or 3-color cards really let you brew stuff in Commander. There'll be a bunch, so, like, yeah, there'll be a bunch of, like, I don't know, like, eggs? Is that where we're going with this? Like, a bunch of cool little artifacts or dorky things that want to sacrifice themselves, and then when this comes in, we can just recast them or copy them. The fact you don't have to pay for the copy is quite nice, but yeah, I think you want to be flickering this as much as possible, and then just getting a bunch of mana. Or just getting a bunch of value recasting all your spells that you've cast already with this. Shiko seems cool. I'm not blown away by this one, but it's good to see I think this might only be the second Jeskai Dragon. I know we had... what's it called? I think it destroys lands, which is maybe why I haven't seen it too much in Commander, but this one seems cool. Alright, now this is a proper Magic card. This is actually from the Commander set. It is Tevel, the Balanced Scale. It is 1 and a Sultai, the perfect mana requirement for a 4/4 legendary creature, Spirit Dragon. It has flying, and whenever Tevel attacks, mill 3 cards, then you may return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. When one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So, this is really cool. This is kind of obviously, this is my favourite card that we're going to be talking about today. Obviously, it's a Sultai card. But why I like this is that it does kind of remind me of Sidisi. Sidisi was one of my first commanders. Sidisi is the Sultai Khan from original Tarkir, and it does a similar thing. That's when it enters and attacks. If you mill over a creature, or if you mill over any number of creatures, you make a 2/2 black zombie. This is a better threat. Sidisi didn't have any evasion and is a 4-mana 3/3, so it definitely got power crept just by Commander naturally getting stronger. So the fact that this comes in, and so you don't get the ETB with this, but you're more likely to get more effects from it over time by it attacking. But also, like Sidisi, the two rules are different. So the attack is 1 trigger, and then when one or more cards leave your graveyard is a second trigger. So they're not linked to each other. So if something else makes something leave your graveyard, then that works really well. Also, Sultai was the Khan block wedge shard thing where Delve came from. And I don't think we're going to get too many new Delve cards, because Delve is really broken. But that when one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie, that will work with Delve, as well as a bunch of other things, including Dredge. Which is why I'm here. So this does look like... So this is kind of Insidious Roots, the deck now. We've seen a bunch... Like, they're printing a bunch more of these effects of, like, when one or more cards leave your graveyard, do a thing. Yeah, we saw Insidious Roots last year, and everyone loved that. There was also Chalk Outline in that set. And then... Annoyingly, in the last set, we got a really good one that would be phenomenal for this. On Wings of Gold, which is a Zombie Matters one. It makes zombies whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, but it's in white. Which doesn't help this Sultai boy, but... yeah, I'm buying this precon, I'm building this deck, I'm going to have a lovely time. There is a world where I update my Sidisi deck to be this, or maybe I have Sidisi in the deck. They do work a bit differently. This doesn't trigger when you mill. You do need to be bringing things back. Like, I do like the fact that this will also ramp you. Like that top ability on attack to ramp means that maybe it is more of a landsy deck. Like, Sidisi is definitely... Sidisi only cares about when you mill creatures, so it's definitely a creature graveyard deck. This one doesn't. This one is land, so it doesn't necessarily have to be... Yeah, it's a different way of building it, which is cool. Like it only returns lands, but it doesn't care what you bring back to make the zombie, which I think I really like. Because the land will effectively, this commander ramps you and makes you a bunch of tokens. You can still build it like CDC, where you can have where you are trying to fill up your graveyard with creatures, or you could take it in a way with lands, which we haven't really done too much. There isn't really like a I guess Necrobloom gives all your lands dredge, and that can be built in a more landsy in graveyards way. But most of the payoffs tend to count either number of permanents in your graveyard or the number of creatures. It is mainly number of creatures in your graveyard where you go with this. But yeah, this is slam dunk favorite card of the set already. Card's perfect, no notes. Let's move on to Barren Steep Siege. It is 2, a white and a black for an enchantment, and as this enchantment enters, choose Abzan or Mardu. If you choose Abzan, at the beginning of your end step, put a +1 counter on each creature you control. And if you choose Mardu, at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. This seems pretty good. So it's good to see that. So this is our first kind of clue that Abzan and Mardu are still doing their things. So Abzan was a countery, or a +1 counter style of archetype, and Mardu was aristocrats. This does both of those things and kind of shows us that, yeah, in Tarkir Dragonstorm, we're going to be doing a similar thing. My gut is that Abzan is going to be much better in the from this card. Sorry, if you play this card, the Abzan side I like. Just bring a counter on each creature you control until end of turn. That seems pretty good. The Mardu one, it does have Alright, effects that make everyone sacrifice a creature, I think are bad. I think it's very, unless you're specifically playing against Voltron or stuff like that, where they're just kind of, just playing one big creature, effectively it just means they're just going to sacrifice their worst creature every turn. And, yes, there is a world where you're breaking the symmetry, because your deck, if you're playing this in Commander, you're going to have the Blood Artist effect, and then you get a bunch of triggers. But, the fact it is repeatable every turn, I don't hate, but I don't want that on 4 mana. But putting a counter on all of my board for 4 mana, that seems good. Sorry, one sec. Cat. Hello, Daddy. Come on. You had your breakfast. Good girl. Yeah, so I would include this in a deck for the Abzan part. I probably wouldn't include it for the Mardu part. There's a bunch of, I'm not going to cut a token maker or a free sack outlet or a Blood Artist effect for this card, but the Abzan part, 100%. If I'm doing a token deck, if I'm just going wide with tokens in any white-black deck, there's a world where I consider this for the Abzan part. Because you're going to get that counter because it is your end step, you don't have to wait until, beginning of combat would be nicer. But you do get them that turn, which I like. I think that's pretty solid. I'm assuming we're going to get more of a cycle of this, which is cool. So, bring it on. All right. Next up, we have Inevitable Defeat. This is 1 red, a white, and a black. For an instant, this spell can't be countered, and exile target non-land permanent. Its controller loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. So this is a lot of magic card. This really does kill the thing that you want to kill. So in original Tarkir, there was a cycle of jacked up 3-color spells. What was the Mardu one was I think it also could be counted, but it was effectively each opponent sacrifices their biggest creature. And I know I said I don't like those type of effects, but when it's the biggest thing and they can't get around, they can't. I don't like it when they have to sack, or when they have a choice of sacking their token or their 10/10. With this, you can kill the 10/10. Ventus Exile is really nice. Yeah, there's a world where just any Mardu deck going forward in Commander, it probably just consider this. It's very good. Not being 4 mana is a lot when Path to Exile and Swords of Ashes exist, but the fact that also Lightning Helix is them is great. And yeah, it's nice to know. In Commander, I definitely like the idea of there is room for a card like this where just when you need to kill something. When you can't be bothered to faff around, when you need to be guaranteed to answer a late game threat, you're fine paying 4 mana to do that. To just guarantee that the thing you need to go is gone. Yeah, I think this is great. I'm quite high on this card. I am more on the Dragon side, I guess, than the Zergo side, so maybe artwork failed for me, but apart from that, yeah, I think it's really cool. Right. Okay, they did it. Next up we have Skirmish Rhino. This is a white, a black, and a green for a 3/4 creature Rhino. It has trample, and when it enters, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. And this is an uncommon. So Siege Rhino is obviously the card that this is calling back to. Siege Rhino, I think, was 1 more mana, but the life swing was 2 more or 3 more. I think it were, yeah. But either way, Siege Rhino is probably the card that any standard players at the time will mainly remember. I remember when we rotated out of Khan's block, they did Wizards did a top 10 cards we're glad to see go. And number 3 was Siege Rhino. I think number 2 was something else. But then number 1 was the second copy of Siege Rhino. Because 1 was backbreaking at the time. Having 2 basically won the game. The life swing was phenomenal. It was also a trampoline beater. Is it also a 4/5? Actually, let's just get up. Let's just look up Siege Rhino. We can look up Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino we love as a Magic card. Scryfall. Again, we're caught out because our spelling is dreadful. Alright. Okay, so it was only it was a 2 point more life swing for 1 more mana, and it was a 4/5. This card, I love this card. The fact that this card is now 17p is wild to me. This was, if you were playing at the time, everyone feared Siege Rhino. When me and my wife got back into Magic, we bought a box of Khans. Sorry, we had starter decks. That was it. We had starter decks, and effectively, my wife had the Khans one. I think I had the Sultai one, shockingly. But in the packs that came with her deck, she had a Siege Rhino. And that just wins. Like, games of very low-powered constructed are just won by Siege Rhino. And the fact that Skirmish Rhino is an uncommon is kind of wild. It is, from a power level now in 2025, completely correct. This should just be sleeved up in any peasant cube going forward. I think it's great there. I really like it. This will be cool in limited. I'm guessing from this set that we are going to be able to get to 3 colors. I don't think it's going to be as easy as on turn 3 we have 3 colors, but I think you're going to be easy to do a 2-color deck splashing a third very, very nicely. And Skirmish Rhino seems phenomenal there. There was a weird thing, actually. I don't know if people know this, but Siege Rhino was one of the reasons why Birthing Pod was banned. It was one of the many reasons, but it was at the time when Siege Rhino was really good, and they listed it as we can't make better creatures because Birthing Pod exists. And I think it's fair to say that Siege Rhino has been power crept out of most formats. But yeah, maybe Birthing Pod had to die for us to move past Siege Rhino. But yeah, good to see. This is a cool little card. I'm glad that they've done something like this. They could probably reprint Siege Rhino into standard nowadays. I don't think it'd be anywhere near as aggressive as it was before. But we have this one now. It's 1 mana cheaper. I like it. It's cool. They had to do it. All right. Swig of tea, and then we'll look at Smile at Death. So Smile at Death is 3 white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a plus counter on each of those creatures. That's cool. Sorry, I'm reading this card very much for the first time. If you can build your deck around that, that seems phenomenal. Because similar to the Alesha deck from this block, let's get up Alesha. Okay, so if you are playing Alesha, then you are playing Smile at Death as well, which is nice. But yeah, the way that kind of these decks tend to work is it says power 2 or less. It doesn't say mana value in there at all. So you can get back things like Ravenous Chupacabra. That's a 4 mana spell. That's pretty cool. I like that. There's probably some cool things you can do with zero mana creatures that come in and add counters to them. That kind of stuff. There's probably some really big ones actually. I know power. Yeah, that does work. Hold on, let's Let's just quickly search. So this is going to be a white card, but let's just quickly search. What is the biggest... we're looking. Power is equal to 0 is what we want. Power is equal to 0. Counters. There must be some dumb stuff you can do with this. Obviously, we want mana value highest. Not price Europe. Not mana value, we want EDH rank or something. There'll be a cool way of doing this. No, it is mana value. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, it can put a Pentavus into play or an Inferno project. This is cool. This is what you want to be doing with this. I'll keep putting on each. Yeah, stuff like... So this is great, like modular 6. This lets you bring back a 6/6. That's cool. I love this. Yeah, Smiley Death seems like a fun card. It's definitely going like if you're already doing the Alesha stuff, I think you probably already know what to do with this card. Yes, it seems like a fun one. Probably going to be really good in limited, actually. Like, if you have this in limited, just fill up your deck with a bunch of 2/2s. If you can get any kind of like death triggers or any kind of like drainy effects, then you just gotta grind them out. Yeah, good magic card. Okay, Mythic in 2025 is good. All right, now this is a cool one. I think we're coming towards the end of spoilers now, but this was not one I was expecting. This is very literal. This is Storm Scale Dragon. It is 4 red for a 4/4 flying dragon. Other dragons you control get +1/+1, and it has Storm. When you cast a spell, copy it for each spell you cast it in this turn. Copies become tokens. So, we kind of... They called the set Dragonstorm, yeah. And everyone kind of thought, oh, that's nice. Maybe they'll put Dragonstorm in there. Maybe there'll just be some other middling cards that kind of like... The card is like a storm of magic, but not actually cards with the word Storm on it. But then they spoiled this. And this really does have Storm on it. So... I don't think this like... I love this card. I think it's sick. This is very much the more... This is the me enjoyer of Storm, not the Storm players. I don't think they're really going to be in for this, because things like... Brain Freeze and Tendrils of Agony are still going to be just more reliable, because they're cheaper and they kill your opponent then. You still have to untap with this. It doesn't have haste. That is the one downside to this Mythic with Storm that makes a bunch of 4/4 dragons that buff each other up. It doesn't win the game immediately. But basically with this, if you can cast any other spell before it, then you are incredibly happy. 2 5/5 dragons for 6 mana is phenomenal. Yes, you will have probably have to cast like a cheap spell beforehand, but yeah, this is nuts. I am incredibly excited to try this. I do actually have a Dragonstorm Commander deck with the card Dragonstorm. So let's come out of here and quickly load up Dragonstorm. So this was the card that I think everyone thought they were going to... And they could still put it in. But I do have a Dragonstorm Commander deck where this is the win con. You get this and you put a load of dragons into play and you effectively... The goal is to put like 200 power onto the board in one turn and swing with it. So... Stormscale Dragon seems pretty good in that. So I probably will get a copy. Which we love. But yeah, I'm here for it. This is a very cool card. Again, it doesn't seem like one for standard for me. If I'm honest with you, like if people can make this work, then that's awesome, and I love it. But this is Commander card, like personified. I hope we see some other bits of Storm in here. They have to be really careful because Storm generally breaks most things. There's so many Storm cards that are banned, or so many cards that allow Storm to be good. Things like Gitaxian Probe is banned in so many formats. One of the reasons was Storm. One of the reasons is that it's just free and can go in any deck. But being a free spell for Storm was a reason it had to go. It would be cool if there was a Storm deck in Standard and it rolled around this card. But I think there must... My gut is there'll be a couple more Storms cards in the set. If they've printed this one, why not 1 or 2 more? It would be cool if they could find ways of doing it that don't break everything, but they have to really test them. This isn't an MH3 set. This is a standard legal set. I don't think people want... I was about to say people don't want Storm in Standard, but people definitely want Storm in Standard. Cool, yeah. Love it. Let's see what they can do with it. We also had announced like all the Commander product, so we know that each Khan, Shard, Wedge, etc. is going to get its own deck. So we saw the blah, 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 blah. So this is half of them. There will be the other. Oh no, hold on. There's only 5 here. There's no Sultai one. What is this bollocks? I'm realizing this in real time. So there's these 5 Commander decks. It doesn't look like... So there's these 5, there isn't the other 5. No, hold on, I have Jeskai twice. That's why. I'm assuming that will be the Sultai one. Dear God. I almost had a heart attack on Monday morning. Like, there's no Sultai Commander deck. What is this? So that should be the Sultai one, the one we saw earlier. But, yeah, we're going to get all the Khans. That seems cool. I've not bought a Commander Precon in a hot little minute, but I could probably see myself picking up the Sultai one because I am Sultai inclined, and I love that for myself. Although the Teemo one has... I love dragons. I think they're big and cool and awesome. And the fact that maybe the Teemo one too... Ooh, good stuff for a is it Tiamat deck or something like that? There you go. Let's keep going. Alright. This next one I'm not super hot on, if I'm honest with you. So they've announced that pre-release, you're going to get a themed booster pack. And these generally suck. Personally, is my opinion anyway. Basically what it means is that your booster pack, is that you will get a pre-release kit. And instead of just 6 boosters that you make a pre-release kit from, you're going to get 5 boosters and then 1 themed to the box. And the issue with that is that it either makes your deck really good or rubbish. Basically, if you can't build around your themed booster, then your deck is so much weaker than everyone else's, because effectively people are going to have like a bunch more on-color rares and just like synergistic cards if they can make it work. Like if in your 5 other... So say I get an Abzan pre-release kit and I don't have any good... All my good cards are like Teamer, or like, do you know what I mean? Kind of like all my other rares are in like red, but I have an Abzan deck. That's going to be really hard for me to play them, which just means that like the person who got the pre-release kit, where they got the Abzan deck, and all of their on-color rares are black, white, and green, their deck's going to be unbeatable, basically. And also combined with play boosters, where there's already more likely chance to have multiple rares in a deck. This feels like the worst thing to do for like competitive. Actually, no, they don't use pre-release packs for competitive sealed, so that's fine actually. But just like this is going to make like I've generally just not been a fan of pre-releases where they have done this. Like they've done it a bunch before. Like the worst one I think was Theros, where everyone effectively just got like some of the cards were guaranteed, and people worked out very quickly that just white got a 4 or 5 mana 3/4 flyer that got with like double strike or something like that, or it definitely had prowess. So just everyone picked white, and if you had white, you did well at the pre-release, and if you didn't have white, you had a bad time. I don't think this won't be anywhere near as drastic as that, but just this is the one. I am still so hyped for this set. It's still going to be probably my favorite set of the year. But this is like a one little niggling thing of just like, oh, that's kind of annoying. I wish they hadn't done that. I would have preferred them to just do it like a regular pre-release, because I think that is the best way to do it. Again, I will completely take that back if I get the Sultai one and my deck is awesome, because that's the one I want to open. But like the way they'll probably do this will be similar to the Mob World set. I should know what that one's called. The last 3-color set that was like the Mob World. God, why is the name not coming to me? The set symbol was a set of Knuckle Dusters. But in that set, the pre-release kind of the boxes came in like some brown paper, so you couldn't see your deck when they handed it out to you. You weren't able to pick. So it will be random, which is something, but I would... Yeah, it's basically a 1 in 5 chance of me getting the Sultai one. If I get it, I'm happy. If I'm not, then I'm not going to have as good a time, but hey, that's just me. But yeah, a minor complaint, but not the end of the world. So that's it for Khan spoilers, but we did get some look at some of the other sets. So we got some cool artwork for Edge of Eternities. And the more I see of this set, the more I'm actually kind of here for it. It's kind of frustrating. Like way higher on Aether Drift than I thought I was going to be. Karns looks like a banger. Edge of Eternities, I'm actually kind of really here for. I would kind of like them to do just other, like, I'm not as hyped on the Universes Beyond sets from this year, so there you go. We can enjoy Edge of Eternities anyway. So yeah, just here is some of the lovely artwork. Ooh, seems cool. That does look a bit Necron-y now I look at it. Maybe this is going to be the Warhammer set they never got to make or something like that, but hey ho. And we got some pre-release kits for this. Good to know. So the fact that this is also 3-color is interesting. It doesn't necessarily mean that the set is going to be a 3-color set as well, but having 2 3-color sets in the year would be kind of interesting. It would mean the mana might be really good in standard for a hot minute, but yeah, it's cool. The more I see of the set, the more I'm actually quite hyped for it. I like space operatics. I like a Star Trek. I like a Star Wars. I like a Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, this one actually looks pretty cool. I'm excited to see more of this. I think because I'm not super hot on Final Fantasy, this would be a nice little refresher for me. But here, and then we had the announcement. Let's see this if this plays. It should work. And there should be sound as well. We're actually quite good at this. So this is the announcement trailer for the last set of the year. There's some rocks. There's some fire. Ooh, there's some air, I'm guessing, and a bit of water. It's the announcement that the last set of the year is going to be, as we expected, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm hoping everyone's hearing the music. It's very thematic. So yeah, we're going to play again. That's not what we wanted. Don't play again. Exit full screen. Go to the last. What are you doing? Why is this my only option? Oh well, hey ho. But yeah, so Avatar: The Last Airbender is going to be the last set of the year. We kind of half expected this from an arena spoiler from about a month ago. Again, this is one that I'm not super hot on. Like, this year is going to be 3 misses in a row for me personally for the Universes Beyond sets, which kind of doesn't feel great when when they're entirely full standard sets. But for some people, this will hit massively. And like with Final Fantasy and like with Marvel, I might not be a massive fan of those IPs, but I am a Magic fan. So I'm hoping for some cool cards. And as the Final Fantasy spoilers from last week have kind of shown that, like, yeah, if they print a cactus that becomes a 10,007, that's cool and unique and something I haven't seen before. Even as someone who doesn't know the set that well, that's something I can get behind. I can see with this set that kind of like, because you have the different elements, like that does lead into Magic. Like how we get, it's weird that there's 4 elements, not 5, because like you could just do 1 per cycle otherwise, but like, or 1 per color pair, or 1 per color of Magic otherwise. But I'm assuming they'll work out ways of doing this pretty well. Like, that's the thing. Like, we haven't had any bad Magic sets in a while, so as long as there's some cool cards, I can get behind it and I can be excited. All right, I think that's going to do it for today. Slightly shorter one this Monday morning, but it is a Monday morning, so, you know, work is about to start in about 15 minutes or so I can get myself another cup of tea, say hello to the wife, say hello to the cat, make sure they're both fed and watered and doing well. But yeah, that's where we're going to end it for today. Thank you all very much for watching. Do make sure you like, share, subscribe. I need to tell people to do that on these live streams. We'll be back tomorrow. Haven't worked out what with yet. Probably a deck tech, unless there's any other news. Yeah, marvellous. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. You all take care. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye. Any other news? Yeah, marvellous. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. You all take care. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.